Okay, so I'm further leveraging of the facilities. I was the co-chair of the BECG working group or integrative group for about a year. And I'm here to give a perspective on the vision that was developed early in the SZ4D RCN and then where that's heading towards as we move into the catalyst phase of the work. So hopefully by the end of this presentation, we'll have a little bit more clarity, or if collective impact and BECG are a little hazy right now, I hope to clear that up. So the intent of this integrative group was to kind of maybe break out of same old thinking, same old results. And so that was really intended to be use this as an opportunity to rethink from the ground up how broader impacts and community engagement and these elements of doing good science and then using it to empower and improve society go forward. So really focused on transforming the mindset of the community, embracing education, outreach, partnerships, be a Jedi, and social science as critically important elements of SZ4D. So my accomplices here, I won't read all the names, but spent a lot of time just thinking about this problem and breaking it down into different subcomponents. And I especially want to thank my co-chair, Christy Till, as well as Mike Brzezinski, who is a real thought leader and our liaison to the SZ4D XCOM. So these are sort of the 6 components of the vision that the BECG group came up with. And it's not a staircase. You don't need to necessarily start at the bottom, but these are sort of seen as the 6 core components to lead to maybe a different place than where we're starting on this. And so equity and hazard mitigation, interdisciplinary collaboration, capacity building, outreach effectiveness, or increasing the effectiveness of outreach, education and training, and belonging, access, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. So I won't read all of these questions out, but they really focus on some very broad and fundamental questions related to how do you build better interdisciplinary collaborations? How do you achieve social justice in ensuring that communities have the best information available for assessing geological hazards that they're exposed to? How do you do better international capacity building and have more equal partnerships across borders? So if you look in the implementation report, these are explored. Each of these is explored in several pages each, really trying to dig into the basics of these. And as Emily introduced, there's the traceability matrices, which were used across SZ4D, were really valuable in this effort to kind of take one question and goal on the left and then break it further and further down into its subcomponents and really understand what do you need to do to address this from the ground up. And so it provided kind of a quality control strategy to make sure that you weren't leaving anything on the table. And that's helpful because then you can see what are things that spread across different goals. So on the left, you have the goals, which were on that earlier slide. And then in the middle, you have needs. What are things that are going to factor into those? And then what are the activities that our group, as well as other groups, would do to start addressing those? And you can see things don't map linearly. There's a lot of things that have overlapping needs and activities to address them. So just some common themes. I really want to emphasize this at the start. Social science research, the modern social science, is really insightful and really important to helping understand how we can do things better. A lot of traditional methods that for doing broader impacts or doing teaching, you can sort of fall into a groove, and the most current thinking kind of progresses onward. And so this was an opportunity for us to sort of go back and see, like, what are the best ways to build collaborations, reach out and reach broader communities right now. It was an opportunity, or it is an opportunity, to break out of stovepipes in terms of, again, how things have been done in the past aren't necessarily the best practices going forward, or could be refined. Rejecting relic habits like dropping in to grab samples and dropping out without having any meaningful in-country collaboration if you're working internationally, or even within parts of the United States or other field settings. Making sure that when you're collaborating with someone or you have a broad set of stakeholders, that you're centering their needs as your work proceeds forward and things might evolve. And finally, having a mechanism to corral this ambitious and expansive effort as it moves forward. So Emily also mentioned collective impact, and I think that's where this sort of all starts to come together is the way that things are often done, not always, but often done, is that people have individual projects with individual goals, and that could be, you could call that the isolated impact model, that you have your specific effort is noble and good, but it is based around sort of a very narrow criteria. And in those cases, often will dissipate at a certain time after the work is done, and it doesn't have really the staying power, and it's kind of confined within one or maybe a small group of collaborators. But collective impact is really meant to be everybody's rowing in the same direction and has the knowledge of where they're going together. So it's a commitment right from the start that to a common agenda, understanding the broader arrangement of how you're going to be working on a project, and then having a structured collaboration going forward, which is meant to kind of best get the most value for what you're doing. And so there's five criteria that factor into that. I mentioned the common agenda, everybody knowing sort of what they're a part of and what the goals are, having a shared measurement system to sort of keep everyone on track and just keeping tabs and understanding where things are going. Activities which are constantly designed to reinforce each other. So things that factor in, and as Emily said, make the whole more than just the sum of its parts. Communication, both in between groups to stakeholders, all the way up to leadership, just to ensure that nothing's getting left unsaid, nothing's getting left unheard, and backbone support. And so as a staff member of the facility, this one resonates with me because one of our goals working with the community is to constantly provide that continuity that allows things to be to move forward and to work with our partners as much as possible to have momentum in activities. So just some of the advantages here. Collective impact is a novel approach. I didn't really know what it was until probably a year ago, but it really is something that's appropriate to the scale of a collaborative and community-oriented effort like SZ4D. Everybody's got skin in the game. It's something where there's a real sort of element of we're all part of a broader effort and we're aware of it. I can provide guardrails for advancing that work. And it's something that even in the kind of core literature recognizes that having organized support at a staffing level can allow it to be really effective. And it can be implemented in a manner that discourages top heaviness. If you have that communication up and down, it can really benefit the effort. And so this is one way of visualizing that, where you have information that sort of flows downhill and then flows back uphill from a steering committee or a leadership team to the working groups, to partners that are both domestic and international, and then community members and stakeholders, and just people that are in groups that are being partnered with or interacted with as part of the effort. So the vision document was went out as a draft last year, and it went out for feedback. And so some of the feedback is captured here. Requests to the BECG group to better describe how it would leverage existing resources, how it would address specific strategies for engaging social scientists, learning from models that exist that are really kind of sort of state of the community right now, like Shake Alert, put more information into the working plan, and then kind of lay out what are the specific responsibilities of the groups that are involved. So that helped us take what was a vision document and really refine that into what's manifested in the implementation plan today. So I'm just going to hit on a few things. So there's kind of 5 activities that are getting underway as part of the catalyst. One is establishing and sustaining partnerships in key communities. Another is shepherding communities of practice and social change. The third is coordinating existing and new international capacity building efforts. The fourth is improving training and strengthening relationships with key partners. And the fifth is a matchmaking effort between potential PIs and BECG activities. So I'll go into a little bit more detail on a few of these. So with communities of practice, the goal here is to facilitate conversations that are lasting between physical and social scientists that are focused on some of the issues that were reflected in the visioning document and then have been discussed in this talk. One of the key elements of this is to provide stipend support to recruit people that can provide meaningful amount of time. We're asking social scientists to come into a community that they don't really know and provide us with their expertise. And so the fact that we're willing to put some support in that, I think, is going to help show the sincerity and the interest and just compensate people for their time devoted to working on something that's outside of their regular scope. In addition, the outcomes that come out of these conversations will go upwards into the governance just to help inform decisions made about future implementations of activities. Another one relates to international capacity building. And so this is one where our facilities have had some experience with this in the past, but the idea is to organize workshops, sidebar meetings, to bring together groups that are working on these things currently, and then think about where we could go that would further improve these going forward. The idea would be to have regular meetings between SZ4D governance and PIs to prioritize needs and coordinate training. There'd be staffing support support for travel and staff coordination to allow exchange programs for students and postdocs. And there'd be an opportunity to take some of the materials and the training materials and educational materials that come out of SZ4D and ensure that those are in not just one language and they can be more broadly used. The idea of the matchmaking between PIs and BECG would be to use workshops to connect and equip PIs for successful interdisciplinary research with new collaborators, and in particular, kind of build a Rolodex of people who are working in different areas that can connect with each other and provide that matchmaking between scientists at certain focus sites and organizations and students that might be interested in the same thing, but don't have that initial professional introduction. So there are partnerships that we are forging. Some of these have already informed SZ4D quite a bit. Some of them are conversations that are just getting started, but this slide is really to recognize that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. In a lot of cases, we just need to understand, what the right tire pressure is and how to best maintain it going forward. So Jonah's excited because we have representation throughout the governance structure for BECG kind of thought processes. So the stars here indicate where either current BECG group members or members of the organization are kind of actively thinking about and trying to develop a lot of the information or a lot of the activities going forward that I've presented here. And then I just want to call out, so this is the next incarnation of the BECG integrative group. So I think several members of this group are here at the meeting. I think Mike Brzezinski gets in this evening, but these are the folks. You can talk to me and I'll be excited to chat with you, but the people that are currently going to be leading this effort forward are up on the screen here. And it's a great group with alumni from the previous group, as well as some new folks that are excited to work on this. So I think I'll just close with, there's an open line to this group. The email address is on the right. And really, it's just a challenge of making sure that we're all swimming in the right direction. And I think really good things are going to come from this. So thank you.